Actually, my first comments I want to direct towards Grand Chief Tremblay. Will it bring honor? Will it have irreversible consequences? And what is the impact it's going to have over 7 generations? You know what? I'm going to be here for the week, but that's a takeaway that what if we started every one of our meetings? What if we started every one of our projects? What if we started every one of our initiatives with that? That was a very impactful statement, and I want to tell you that, you know, we go through our lives and pick up little bits here, little bits there. That's an impactful statement that I really want to say thank you to you for imparting upon us, and hopefully it's not been lost on the ears of all of us around the table. And Chief Hugh, we've talked before about biodiversity and ecological sustainability. I always feel like I'm in the presence of wisdom and take something from you. That's serious. I've enjoyed our interactions, and I really appreciate you having the chance to be here. And I guess, I wanted to say thank you. And my questions are going to be very limited, and it's about Ms. Reeder's comments, because I wrote them down. Our renewable future is crucial. No one, not a soul, would disagree with that. But using Grand Chief's comments about, will it have irreversible circumstances, and what is the impact on the next generations? We need to apply that to all. And so we're doing that here, and I really enjoyed the conversations with Dr. Romana, Susan O'Donnell, and I'm looking forward to the conversation with Louise this afternoon. I am reputable as being someone with a hard head and a little bit stubborn, but a good idea is a good idea no matter where it comes from, and we've heard some diversity. But regardless of the energy future that we choose to go down, those two things three, honor, circumstances, unintended consequences, and generational impact, we have to lay that against everyone. So when we talk, I've been talking a little bit and asking questions, and I hope to continue the conversation long after today. But when we move into a renewable future, there are some consequences there that we need to guard ourselves against. I mean, when we look at what Ontario did for the wholesale switch to renewables in the not too distant past, and the massive impact that had as a financial obligation that got downloaded onto citizens. That's a consequence that will have impacts. When we look at Germany, and the last gentleman presented saying that he didn't feel like Germany was moving to coal, they absolutely are. Moved away from nuclear, regardless of whatever the case may be, and notwithstanding the European issue, Germany is moving to fire up coal plants. That's an unintended consequence that will have impacts generations from now. So when I talk about the moving to renewables, so I ask about that. How do we protect ourselves against the consequences related to potential negative impacts when we move into renewables, particularly with unintended costs or the need to revert to fossil fuels, which would be an irony we wouldn't want to see, mining and environmental impacts to generate the products for solar and wind, simple stuff like solar geography. You and I have talked about the importance of our land, and a 200 megawatt wind farm does take up a significantly larger piece of real estate than a 200 megawatt SMR, just purely the schematics of it. So those questions come in and say, like, we're getting good feedback, and like I said, the presenters have given us good information on the impacts related to the SMRs, and we're going to consider that. But I haven't gotten questions about the impacts related to renewable conversions. I'll admit, to be the first one, that there are some areas where I'm of deep concern as we move into nuclear futures, but there's also with renewables. Help me understand how we avoid those pitfalls so that we continue to bring honor, we continue to avoid unintended consequences, and we continue to have positive impacts, not negative, for 7 generations to come.
So one of the first things I would say, Minister Holland, is use less. Right? Megan brought this up. You brought it up.
Yep, absolutely.
And when we say that, a lot of the time in conversation, I'm actually met with scoffs. People are not considering that a legitimate choice. So there's a lot of work that we and you have to do there. One other simple note, just kind of a fun fact. I put it on Hugh's notes here as a fun fact, just so that we can talk about things, but actually within reality is that the global meat industry produces more greenhouse gases than the entire US. So a simple change in our diet could actually reduce gas emissions far more effectively than billions of dollars worth of new reactors.
That's why I like deer meat.
Right? And I will say, an antidote that brings things to the forefront. So I'm staying over at a local hotel. I believe it's 4 or 5 stars, 3 stars. I don't know. It's a quality hotel. Been here a long time. 11 o'clock last night, I said, I gotta have a shower before I go to bed. And I turned on the shower. I said, boy, that's awful cold. And I called down to the desk and I said, is it expected that at, this time there would be no warm water? And I said, oh no, so we had a couple of phone calls back and forth. And anyway, I went down and I talked to the fellow face to face and I said, well, lots of people don't have hot water when they want it. Lots of people don't have power when they want it. So for me to demand a hot shower because I live in New Brunswick, because I have some sort of privilege, it's actually quite ridiculous. So sorry if you can smell me, but these are, this is the thing, is we have choices. We can actually cut down on our demand.
So, yeah, go ahead, Chief.
I'll be brief. One of the things I'd like to break into is the dialogue. I find that quite often they're so busy attacking each other that I don't know how you're going to make a decision based on which one is better or productive. And I grew up with coal. We always had coal in our house. And it's not that I believe that I'm a proponent of coal. However, the coal got me here in a way that, yes, it produced gases. Yes, it wasn't clean at a lot of times. But nuclear, we're talking about thousands of years. I haven't been able to balance that yet. Mm-hmm. So I've struggled with that one. And when it comes to the renewables, instead of attacking, I understand, that, well, the sun don't always shine and the wind don't always blow. But when I understand too that there is so much wind and energy potential in this province that it was shut down, and only the regulatory agency itself, I believe MV Power, actually has the capacity to, or the opportunity to build such a facility. That's good that they're looking at it. I'd like to see the balance in there and make sure the dialogue isn't so negative. Yep. That one is seen as taboo while the other one is promoted. Sorry. Thank you.
No, you continue. I'm raising my hand because I'm very struck again by the wisdom of what you're saying. And I think when we get in a situation where it's both and, or either or, instead of both and, or a collaborative conversation, things go off the rails. So thank you for bringing that centering voice to that, Chief Tremblay.
Yes, I totally agree with Chief Hugh about constant dialogue. I think communication is the key here, and there seems to be some communication breakdown within the system. In our traditional ways that we bring forward some concerns is within our longhouse, is that each clan or each of the nations from the Wabanaki has a chance to speak and be guided by grandmothers or clan mothers. And I don't see very many women here, but it's women who are my guides and my directors, who actually bring forward some realistic thoughts and wisdom to the issues. This is why when I first spoke, I put forward those 3 questions, because if you're familiar with the treaties that were signed in 1725 and 26, it took our people years to sign those treaties because they needed to make sure that they benefited every one of our citizens, not just a few here or a few there or your constituents, but is it best for all citizens of our nation? Then we decided, and it was consensus form. And that's how I was selected as a Grand Chief, is all the grandmothers had to agree of my position. And they checked my background. They checked my background. I'm glad that they didn't go to way back to my teen years. But let's put this on pause. When we talk about nuclear, let's do a heck of a lot more research and make sure we get this right. And if nuclear is not the way to go, which I believe it's not, after I consulted with all the grandmothers, and they came up with that strong and powerful word as forever. It'll be forever dangerous. So that's a concern for me, and I don't think nuclear's a magic pill. I think we have to learn from history. And if history has taught us one thing, is we don't keep on doing the same thing over and over again. And we all know what that definition is: insanity. So, thank you.
Thank you.